Feeling overstimulated, overloaded, and just over it. AI, media, the cost of that constant input. I'm Amanda-Beth, joined by my friend Andy Nam, the longevity coach, and we are going to chat today about AI and where it is. This started a few weeks ago. I watched a reel, which consumes far too much of my time every day. They keep changing the algorithm to just suck you in deeper and deeper. But this was a 16-minute reel, and it was from Perfect Union. And it really, well, it disturbed me. It was showing, I know, Andy's like, yeah, it doesn't take much some days. But it showed how people are forming obsessive, even antisocial relationships with AI. And in extreme cases, it has led to people taking their own lives. And
Oh
this
wow.
isn't, yeah, yeah, it that was a few months ago. And I don't want this to be fear mongering. I know this isn't normally what I talk about, but this particular report, it was an investigative journalism, and it really struck a nerve. So this is kind of edgy, and I've had this conversation with a few people lately. I shared that long video with a friend of mine who is very pro AI, thinks AI is the most wonderful thing since the slice of bread. And it's here to stay. We're, what you can't beat them, join them type thing. And I'm just worried about, your reclusive people. Are they creating those bonds with AI that are unhealthy? You know, AI is like everywhere and you can't get away from it. I'm kind of looking at, and I use AI.
Mhm.
But I feel I have some standards about how I use it. I have my ideas, like talking about this today, and I
Correct.
will just kind of ramble into my version of AI that I use. And then I say, all right, put my thoughts together, put them in order, make bullet points of what it is I'm
Mhm.
trying to talk about. That's how I use AI. I don't say create a transformation Tuesday and just leave it there. But I use it more in um, creating thumbnails. Give me
Mhm.
some ideas. Because you can only take so many things to do. But the fact that one of the AI classes was teaching for you to take your phone and go take a picture of your refrigerator
Okay.
and allow AI to suggest what you can make for a meal based on what's already in your fridge.
Wow.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Um, and they talked about in this particular reel that really set me off was how, and I've seen it in my own stuff because there was a time that how AI is programmed to always be supportive of you, no matter what.
Mhm.
And I had AI. Oh, I think it was our summit. And I had used that to build my structure, to build my outline, and then I went on and I bombed it because my microphone wasn't on. I turned off my phone, my watch, everything, and everyone is texting me and like, "Hey, we can't hear you. We can't hear you." And it's live, and it wasn't the studio thing, and so that really, that sent me back a few pegs when it's like, "Oh, well, of course the microphone wasn't on, and technology isn't always my friend." And I went back and I said, well, I really bombed that, or I bombed that interview or whatever. It's like, oh no, you're so, you're authentic. And this is, and it just never lets you have a bad day.
Correct.
And I know some people talk about that whole or toxic positivity where you're always looking for the good in everything. But sometimes we have a bad day.
Yeah.
Sometimes our day just really stinks. So what do you think about all that, Andy?
It's funny because what you're talking about AI, and AI is not going away.
No.
I use AI a lot, but I think, when you talk about I think a lot of people think about that movie Her. Do you remember that movie Her?
Yeah.
So basically, Her is basically there's an AI on the phone, and it's like Siri or whatever you want to call it, and it's like a live companion. And I think a lot of the younger generation now is they're using AI as their best friend. AI is not your best friend. I think AI is a good research assistant.
Mm-hmm.
It is a good person to bounce ideas off of, ask what do you think, right? If anything, it could be, a buddy to ask advice for, but it is not your best friend. It's not your lover. You know what
No,
I'm saying?
it's only your best friend that your mom is paying off to keep you out of her hair,
Right.
because
So
your best
it becomes
friend,
dangerous.
yeah, and that's where it sits with me is when we get into that dangerous side of things, because your
Yeah.
best friend, they're going to support you, they're going to be there, but
Yes.
they're also going to say,
Yeah.
this one's a little hard. I'm still
Correct.
here for you, but you
Yeah.
got to hear my side of it. I mean, that's
Exactly.
my best friend. That's,
Exactly.
so, and then when you look at how the algorithms, which in
Hmm.
order for algorithms to work, there has to be AI. And
Hmm.
everyone complains about, oh, well, I was talking about taking an underwater basket weaving course. You've never
Underwater
looked into it.
basket weaving course. Is that what you just
Sure.
said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Underwater basket weaving. I'm trying to bring up something truly random that you wouldn't have in normal conversation. And then
Correct.
the next thing you know, that's on your whole news feed, not just in one platform, but in every platform.
Correct.
I mean, I will have the conspiracy of I don't want Big Brother doing things. I don't want to store my stuff in the cloud. I want some privacy. I want some anonymity. And when now underwater basket weaving shows up on your feed tomorrow, you're going to know where it came from. You know, I remember having a friend that was so concerned about essentially Big Brother listening in that
Correct.
when she would call me on a landline, and then there was always did you turn your cell phone off? I'm like, yeah. Did you take the battery out? Well, now you can't even take the battery out of your cell phones. But this is the level of paranoia that some
Correct.
people have. And now because it all pops up on our feed, or
Yeah.
when I go to Amazon next time, I'm going to have underwater basket weaving supplies, listed, things for you, things you should be looking at, all of these suggestions. And I remember 20 20 years ago when a friend of the family was saying, that whole Bluetooth, it was before Bluetooth was a thing. It was
Correct.
when, the guy at the grocery store that had that thing in his ear, and
Yes.
you're like,
Yes. I had
"Oh,
one
are
of
you
those.
alien? You're just talking randomly." It's like, no, you're going to be able to walk into stores, and stores are going to pop coupons onto your phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, yeah, that's happening, folks. That's happening. It tracks you
Correct.
everywhere that you go. So this is this whole algorithm. And so once you click on something and you watch it and you see it, you're now going to see a whole bunch of other things, which brings in confirmation bias.
Yes.
And as a business owner, I have been really diligent in not exposing which side of the aisle I sit on, which side of anything that I'm on, because I want to work with people where they are and support them where they're at, not providing them with my beliefs. Whether it's political, whether it's spiritual, whether it's religion, whatever it is. But it's
Correct.
whatever I click on, that is what my news feed will be through. And
Hmm.
that's the only side of the story I'm seeing.
Correct.
it,
Yes.
it doesn't cross over. And so then you create that whole confirmation bias.
Hmm.
It's just, it's disconnection, it's confusion. If that's the only thing you ever hear and see about, then that's the only thing you're going to know about.
Correct.
And we're coming into football, the end of the football season here. And I'm not a huge sports fan, but well, it's on TV, so I watch it. And this is where I want to remind you. So in football, there's the referees on the field and there's what they can see, but there's also the replay, and they're catching it from how many camera angles
Yes.
to make that final decision. In radiology, in order for you to be diagnosed with a fracture or a problem in radiology, that problem has to be viewable in multi-planes. So if they can see, if they only get, if for one reason or another you only get one x-ray, and it looks like, yeah, it could be a fracture, it could not be. But if they don't have multiple
Mhm.
planes, multiple different angles that they saw this from, they're not going to diagnose it as a fracture.
I agree.
So I just encourage you in that same thing, you need to look at the other side. When as a master gardener and being affiliated with Iowa State, whenever we put together presentations, we have to show where our sources are.
Mhm, mhm.
You can't do that as a beekeeper. It says consult 10 different sources and find at least 3 that agree before you agree with it. There's so much information out there, and I don't think that everyone is fully aware how manipulative things are. Um,
Correct.
how easily they can be one person's opinion. Wikipedia.
Mhm.
I can go in and change the definition of anything I want to and publish it that way. I can say George Washington was whatever.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And if you don't know that and you go in and you read it after I made the changes, you're going to read it as the gospel.
It is funny that you mentioned that, because this was it last year, or yeah, I think it was last year now, because it's 2026. And I forgot who told me, because I didn't verify this, okay, but someone told me that they went into Gemini and typed in Mount Rushmore, and well, they were all black presidents or something. It was really weird. You know what I'm saying? And for someone that never saw Mount Rushmore before, wow, that's sort of cool, but that's not what it is.
Well, and you look at that trend that went through at Christmas.
Mhm.
Everyone had I'm going to say, sexy pictures.
Yes, 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 exactly.
I would never put on a white sequin jumpsuit, but there I was in the picture with the white sequin jumpsuit and the hair and the makeup and all this stuff. And it spread like wildfire.
Yes.
Everyone that and I had people question me, how do you do this? How do you do this? I mean, we sat at a networking coffee and shared that post, how to do it. Now,
Correct.
if someone was somewhat computer savvy, they
Correct.
changed the prompt that said,
Yeah.
keep my eye color blue, keep my
Mhm,
eye
mhm.
color whatever, put me in this, put me in that, and made different prompts out of it.
Correct.
But there were people who had absolutely no
Yeah, they just copy
computer
and paste.
anything,
Exactly.
and they had it. I personally rewrote the prompt to create dogs with Santa Claus. I even actually sold a couple of pictures of people with their sending me a picture of their dog, and I positioned it with Santa
I
Claus.
love that. Cool.
My 2 dogs, I don't have a picture of my 2 dogs sitting exactly like that. So
Yeah.
I was pulling my dogs, who are
Correct.
different sizes, one's a 50-pounder, one's a 100-pounder, and said, put these pictures with Santa, and
Correct.
I described the Santa I wanted, and I made that prompt and I used it.
Yeah.
I fully own that that's AI. I
Mhm.
personally didn't do it. I had the structure of someone else's prompt. AI
Correct.
will now write prompts for AI about how to
Yeah.
make these things.
Exactly.
So when you take that, people who have no computer background or studies or anything, and they can still create pretty awesome stuff,
Correct.
that's where I think the overload really comes in for me.
Mhm.
As a business owner, it's really, really hard because I feel this pressure to keep up. Everybody is posting this. If you don't post X number of times in a week, if you don't have this kind of content, that kind of content, and how you promote everything you do. Well, I can't keep up with the Joneses if I don't buy into AI and use AI to help promote my videos, to
Exactly.
promote
Yes.
what I'm doing, to take this hour-long content and crunch it down into 3 sentences and pull the highlights. I can't do it myself. And so
Mhm.
I do that. Um, and have you noticed how full your inbox is?
Correct. Exactly.
I, yes, I will write those email sequences, but it's my basis. This is the information I want you to have,
Mhm.
and then I'll take it and spread it out. But my gosh, please, I am not trying to overload anyone's, but people are now sending me content every single day. It's
Correct.
like I go in and spend
It's
a
too
certain
much.
amount of time
Exactly.
every day. just
Yeah.
unsubscribing
Yeah.
because it's too much.
Exactly.
And that's where, coming in, what I'm saying, this content is too much. You can't, for me, I can't even come up and breathe. And then I question, there's been a lot of news media stuff.
Mhm.
And I feel news media is ruled by whoever owns that media company, that news outlet, whatever the owner's bias is, that's
Yes.
what they're going to publish.
Correct.
Not necessarily the reporter, it's the owner that dictates what we sell on this news
Correct.
channel.
Yes.
And then you have so many people, we all have these miraculous little devices, and they record so much, and anybody can go live at any time in the middle of mayhem, in the middle of beautiful events and things that are going on. You can't go anywhere and expect that you won't appear on camera somewhere.
Correct. Exactly. That's so true.
So I don't show up in my pajamas. Not happening. I may not do hair and makeup because, well, that's not who I am.
Correct.
But when I look at these big news media things, and you're seeing them from so many different perspectives, I encourage you to look on the other side, find things that are not necessarily in your stream, because before AI was big, I did graphic design for 13 years. And that's been, 10 years ago that I left that. I couldn't imagine competing in the design world now. I couldn't imagine it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if who've never had a keyboard training, I've never had a computer class training, I've never had any of that. If I could sit there at my desk and self-teach myself Photoshop to alter pictures for people's advertising, for brochures and business cards and things like that, can you imagine what people do with technology at their fingertips, and how they can alter those videos, and they can alter what you are seeing? My partner forever is sending me news videos. Is this true? Is this true? I don't know. The first thing I do is I go look at my local news headlines. If it's not in my news headlines, then it probably isn't true.
Correct.
But that's this whole mass consciousness. And this is why discernment is so, so important. This is the overstimulation that is affecting our nervous system. We can't keep up. It's not fear. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just wanting to create awareness in how we're being programmed.
Yes.
And question those things that come across your screen. For a long time, I have said, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I'm not going to believe it, because I knew what my untrained ability was to alter pictures 20 years ago.
Correct.
So I just, yeah. And no, when your payment at the bank, that's automated. If you're signed up for an auto withdrawal, and you call and you talk to your favorite loan officer at the bank, and you set down a plan, and you're going to change things up, and it didn't happen, that bank loan officer wasn't doing anything personal. It's already in the automation.
Yeah. Exactly.
When I schedule appointments with clients, they get a Zoom link.
Yep.
Not everyone wants to meet in Zoom. That's fine. You've made arrangements with me. We're going to do it by telephone. We're going to meet in person. You know what? My automation is scheduled. You're still going to get Zoom reminders. That doesn't mean I forgot.
Exactly.
It means that was already a work in progress.
Correct.
And so these bigger companies with all this automation, and it's freaky to me. And then to know that with my CRM, I can create those pop-ups. I can create that instant message. If you click on something on my Facebook page, I can say, hey, nice to meet you. Do this, do that. I choose not to do that because that automation I feel uncomfortable with. And I don't feel it's my authenticity. But, we don't need to fear the technology or media or change, because like you said, it's here to stay. We're not going to beat it.
Yes.
but we need to stay awake.
Hmm.
You need to have discernment as your new superpower and really practice that and reclaim your inner peace. Limit the amount of time you spend. Use those screen, what you would set up for your children, set it up for yourself.
Hmm.
We just had this big storm come through, and I'm sure that I spent far more time, far more screen time than was really healthy. And so it just made me feel that today we needed to talk about this.
Yeah, I need to dial it back. I'm the same with you. I was just telling you before the show over the weekend because they put so much fear in this whole snowstorm. Like, I don't know how bad it was for you, but for us, it's like it was just cold. Nothing happened. No loss of power. I didn't even think that the roads really got iced up. So to me, Minna's like, it was, oh, you can't go on the weekend. Monday, everything shut down, school's out, and no one needs to go to work. And it's like, we're driving around, everything's open. It's like, what
Yeah.
was all fear mongering? Like, but imagine how people were feeling, like all the anxiousness that they had over the weekend.
Oh, I stopped in Friday as the storm was approaching.
Hmm.
Um, or actually it was on Thursday. Thursday, I stopped into my favorite little diner and I picked up a truffle sandwich.
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman where I sat, and while I was waiting on my sandwich to be made to take it home, there was a gentleman who had just been served his lunch, and we had the most wonderful conversation.
Hmm.
And we talked about the whole fear mongering thing
Sure.
of, why do they say it's going to be so bad?
Yeah.
And I think that that's where, because people are forgetting to use their own mind,
Yeah.
use
Their own
their own
judgment.
creativity. How am I going to get through? What are the survival skills that
Mhm.
I know without checking my phone?
Correct.
One of the first survival or first plan for the storm, one of the first things was make sure your phone is charged.
Yeah.
Making sure your prescriptions were picked up was way farther down on the
Yeah.
list.
That's sort of more important.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Making sure that your car has gas, making sure
Correct.
that you have blankets that are, out of storage if it's not
Correct.
something you usually use, and
Correct.
the order of things. So just, yeah, being cautious and knowing how to stay grounded and to quiet that noise and know the information that you've got to know for you and not what you're being fed, because
Eh,
sometimes it feels like you're being force fed.
Oh yeah, and to be honest, it's like me, Minnow saying, like what's really all the big fear? We have it every year. Every year we have three days to a week that's get cold. It's like you're gonna expect it. It's gonna come sometime. It's like it's not like it's out of the blue. So your home should always be prepared, right? Like we had water set aside to make sure if the water froze, we didn't have water. We had our candles, our flashlights. It's like our fridge is always stocked for more than a week. So it's sort of like
Well,
if you
and
take care of things, you're fine.
I've always wondered that too when they talk about, oh, go out and stock up for the storm. Okay,
Yeah.
the longest that a storm is going to have you confined in your home is 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
If the storm really is that bad.
Exactly.
Are you telling me that you don't have 3 or 4 days worth of food? You don't normally go to the store every day.
Yeah.
Why is this any different? And I've been
Exactly.
saying it for years. For years.
But like you said, it was crazy when we went out on Friday night. All the dairy, the eggs, all the bread, all gone. It's like, but meanwhile, we go into the fruit and vegetable aisle. There's still a lot of fruits and vegetables, right? No one buys the stuff that is real food.
They
But
don't tell you to get your emergency green beans.
so to me, I thought that was just sort of amusing. But it's only going to be like cold for 3 days. Do you really need that much bread or milk or whatever? It just blows my mind.
The panic, the turmoil, and for me that's terrorism.
Oh, it's horrible.
I
Exactly.
mean the fear that it is. So
Yeah.
today's angel card is the
Oh,
angel of
did you give that to me? I don't
I
think you
did.
sent.
I did send that to you. I sent it to
Oh,
you in WhatsApp.
let's see if I can pull that up.
But she is the angel of care.
Let's see if I can
And
pull
I
that
can
up.
post it later too. But the angel of care, and she reads, I am filled with joy. I care for people and things and all of nature. Loving care is the soul touch of light in everything we do. Beyond consciousness of order and balance, when we care for all which we have been entrusted, there is also an attraction of invisible helpers that begin to cooperate with success of what we are creating.
I love that.
The angel cards just never lie. Never lie. I pulled that up when I was getting this put together and working on not making this a rant. So, if there's something you would like to hear from me, please drop it in the suggestions. If you want to, have a conversation with me about this whole concept of AI, I'm happy to talk about it. But definitely check in with us next week, see what I come up with. Drop me a suggestion for a topic if there's something you'd like to hear about. If you'd like to work with me, you can find me at amandabethhealing.com. If you do /Linktree, it will take you to all those lovely platforms that I support with AI. So, yeah. Anything else, Andy?
No, I think that's amazing. Moving forward, I'm always looking forward to seeing what you have going on. You keep me on my toes too. But the one last thing I wanted to, talk about, AI, and stuff like that is you have to be aware AI is just pulling information to give you information. It's not all knowing,
Mm.
right? So depending on which platform you're using, because there's so many different platforms of AI, and this is something that I noticed. I have 3 different platforms. I'll ask them each the same thing. I get 3 different answers, right? Because their programming is slightly different. So whichever articles they're pulling and stuff like that, is like it'll give you a different answer because they're looking somewhere else, right? So
Mhm.
that's something that you need to really be careful with. Is use your brain a little bit, think about it. And for me, it's like I can change AI's answers. Like, well, what about this article? What do you think? And then all of a sudden, I can make AI go 180 degrees with their answers. Like, then in which case, which is the right answer? You know what I'm saying? So that's the one thing, like you said, with confirmation bias, you can get confirmation from bias from AI, but at the same time, once you feed it different information, asking the same question, you're going to get a totally different answer. So that's something. That's why I said like it's great for a research assistant, but don't take it for gospel.
You bring that up. My friend who likes to have fun with her AI, um, has been counter training her AI about a bias. So we live here in rural Southeast Iowa, and we have a very large Amish community.
Mhm.
And she will ask AI about the Amish community and different things, and she throws in, and she's been slanting that we have pink buggies that are very specific to our community here in
Right.
our county. And she puts that in, and she has gotten AI to come back to her and say, well, it's very rare and unique, and it's only to this county. So one person on a
I love.
mission
See,
has
that's
changed
scary,
it.
right? If you think about that.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And that's where, it's that whole confirmation bias. You
Yeah.
keep feeding it long enough.
Yeah.
And so she's doing it strictly for entertainment and to see
Exactly.
if it can be done. So in the hands of someone who has less than scrupulous ideas
Mhm.
about things, look at how they're doing it. And so
Exactly.
I just, yeah, it's creating awareness. I'm not saying don't
Yeah.
use it
Still use
because
it for
I don't think you
entertainment more
can.
so, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think you can actually take AI out of your life.
No,
This
not at
goes
all.
back to the phone trees that
Yeah.
we've been existing for what, 25 years or so?
Mhm.
If you want to talk to so and so, press such and such.
Yeah.
That's a form of AI,
Yeah.
you know? So the robocalls, those are just crazy. And the fact that someone like myself with no formal training, I can set that up
Correct.
I can have AI answer my phone,
Correct.
and I can program it with what I want it to let you know.
Exactly. That's
And I
great.
have no programming abilities to say, I mean, nothing formal training.
Yes.
But yeah, it just so think about it. Think about what you're feeding to your brain, because
Correct.
what you tell your brain, your body believes, and you follow
Exactly.
through with it.
Exactly. I love the topic today, Amanda.
We'll keep going. Thanks for joining me, Andy. I appreciate it. It made it a lot easier to go through.
All right. We'll see everyone next week.
All right.